Hello, Pigeon. Old buddy, here is my appeal to a recent video dedicated to you. Well, this video will be just a pure formality, with a short explanation of a few unfinished subjects which we spoke about 2 or 3 weeks ago. After all, I need to clarify my stance on subjects which we disagree upon. But first thing first. As you already are fully aware of the importance of this operation and the objectives of this plan, which aim to save our Western civilization, I am trying to keep everything transparent in front of the public. And since I consider you an intelligent, responsible person who is concerned about the fate of our civilization, I'm sure your response will be also formal. It's like I told you about Trump 2 years ago. It's not about declarations and words, but we will judge Trump based on his actions. And I apply this rule to everyone whom I officially address in my videos. Everybody gets a fair chance to demonstrate what they truly stand for. And in this case, it's a stand for the future of our entire Western civilization. But as you did help me a few years ago, and as you agreed to have my back in this operation a few months ago, there shouldn't be any trouble reasoning with you. So, to keep it formal, I must first repeat and summarize the situation for you in front of the public. A realistic plan exists to restore the reason and sanity in the West, to fight for the future of our Western civilization. The lives of many will depend from success of this operation. And as you already should know from the video of the objectives for this plan, I am currently trying to unite people who share the same concerns about the future of the Western world by addressing those in the middle, on the right, and even those who already decided to quit fighting. I mean preppers and men go their own way. I will try to unite all of us, and I have a solid base to do that. It does not matter what those people believe in, what conspiracy theories or even what religion they are, or what they don't believe in, but until they share our values, cultures, and are aware that our boat is sinking, I will try to unite all those people on a common ground and organize us to cooperate, to fight together against this madness in the Western world, for the survival of our civilization, culture, and even ethnic groups. But in order to reach those people, I need people like you, our big star red-pilling YouTube celebrities. I lack of range to inform those people about the solution and organize alone any call for action. We will try to prevent bad things from happening in Europe and North America. But if we will fail, there are also emergency plans which may still secure the future for our like-minded people in this world. And which I also explained in the video with the objectives, by the way. This plan is our only chance. There is no alternative. And naive are those who put faith in politicians or any political solution. Because in our current situation, it's not possible for any competent and truly independent candidate to reach any meaningful position of power in our major Western countries. As I said, political solutions do not exist in our current miserable position in our countries. I am expecting you to wholeheartedly support this plan. After all, you stand for reason and sanity in the West, and it's what you have been talking about in your videos for the past few years. If you decide to change your mind, refuse or use some excuse as to not support me in the realization of this plan, then please provide a public response explaining your decision. Why would you not want to participate in this operation? I must repeat something that I already stated on Skype. I won't expose you or your YouTube channel at any risk. All I will need you to do is to inform your audience about the existence of this plan at the right time. And remember what you told me about another strike on your channel for talking about immigrants, if I remember right. I did some research with other YouTubers with whom I have contact with, and they said they also have strikes on their accounts, so it's just a matter of time, Pigeon, before censorship will shut down your channel and all other similar channels. But you're already aware of that. That's why you're preparing and promoting your alternative channel. And this is just another reason why you should cooperate with me, since my plan will help your channel survive in the future. But of course, as a smart, reasonable man, you have a few options. Assuming you really stand for what you're claiming to stand for. First option is, of course, about declaring your full support for realization of this plan. And after that, you will be awaiting further instructions. Your second option is to debunk this plan as a bad idea, as something that has no right to work. And the third option is to offer a better solution. Believe me, responsible people like myself, who worry about the future, for our families, for future generations of white Europeans, we desperately need a solution. And I offer one, but I need support from people like you. We are all on the same side officially and on the same boat. There is no place for observers, for those who know how bad things really are, and do nothing meaningful to fight it. People are with us, or they are against us. It's simple as that. We didn't finish our attack 2 weeks ago. Remember the dentist? Or maybe it was 3 weeks ago. So allow me to explain what was left unfinished. Let's focus on the Trump first, ignoring the fact that it's almost like Trump and the media are working together, which I am obviously ready to explain in details, if you wish to hear it. The President Trump continues the agenda of our international masters, and I explained all of this in this video, call it Trump's US self-destructive policy, which is linked in my comment dedicated for you below if you're interested. But if the media were really against Trump, they could do what they did with Ron Paul, which means they could ignore Trump instead of promoting him by attacking him. They promoted him as someone who is anti-establishment candidate. I have many strong reasons to believe he's a puppet. He is not this great based guy who puts America first and wants to make America great again. He does not even act like a reasonable politician on the international arena. And you agreed with me on this, because we both concluded the same end game for his foreign policy. And what was your advice for me after that? You told me to leave Europe because things will end badly in here. And do you think, Pigeon, you will be safe in Japan? Why, having Chinese as neighbors? An industrial giant who will start starving in the future, probably due to hostile US policy? We spoke about it. We know that at some point radicals will reach power. And unfortunately for you, China is very hostile toward Japan. Japan is basically seen by China as American puppet state, a satellite state, with a few American bases which in case of war will become a strategic target for Chinese ballistic missiles. So here is my brave claim about Trump. Trump is a puppet in form of a controlled opposition to blind the rebellious aware masses, to deceive them that the good guys are winning, giving them illusion of a change for better, to keep Americans calm and distracted by, for example, fighting with each other. After all, America must be stable enough to serve as a bodyguard for Israel. Obviously, Trump was necessary evil, an obvious choice compared to crazy Hillary. Thinking big in Trump's mind is about representing yourself as a defender of America for the regular people who are tired of the establishment, while serving the international master as well by being loyal to Israel and the Zionist agenda. Trump has 2 more years for rehabilitation. He was already at his prime of power, but now is slowly losing it. He won't win the next election, nor will he improve anything in our world. He will be remembered by rebellious masses as another disappointment, as a useless president who didn't do anything to change our situation in this world for the better. While opposite, he will make it worse. Look, Pigeon, I will repeat to you in front of the public of what I already told you in private. Trump is holding the best and the most powerful position on the planet to expose the deep state, the international banking system, Federal Reserve, and all of those who control the Western world from behind the king's throne. He has many options on the table, but the simplest one is to do what President Orban did. Trump could simply organize a press conference and make a statement as follows. And I quote, "We are fighting an enemy that is different from us, not open but hiding, not straightforward but crafty, not honest but base, not national but international, does not believe in working but speculates with money, does not have its own homeland but feels like it owns the whole world." If Trump would say anything like this, I would immediately reconsider my stance on him, and there is no possible excuse why Trump shouldn't do that, why being on our side. And no, Pigeon, your argument claiming that Trump might fear for his life, or life of his family, or any consequences from exposing the truth in front of the press is not correct. Why? Because if president of a small country such as Hungary has balls to open attack and oppose globalists like this, then definitely the most protected and powerful person on this planet can do that. And should do that, to save his own country and the future of all Americans. If Trump is our guy, and he is giving us some secret messages, or he really stands for reason and the protection of America, opposing the globalist agenda, and he is preparing to drop some big red pill bomb one day in the future, and if he really is giving us some clues and ideas that he is going to do that, for example by mentioning Federal Reserves, then the deep state already knows all of this. They are not blind. If we have reasons to suspect Trump of being our guy, then definitely deep state is fully aware of the risk. And if they could anyhow hurt the president after he will expose anything, they would already do that to avoid the risk and remove this threat from his current position of power. So it's completely opposite. The reason why Trump was allowed to win the elections and is allowed doing what he does is because he has the blessing of those who are behind the king's throne. This is pure logic, Pigeon. There is no way to disagree with those arguments. Or maybe you can. Try to enlighten me. Also, I asked you if you know how Putin gained power in Russia. It was also mostly thanks to the chosen people in Russia. So-called chosen people. And this is official information, as you already know. But after Putin gained power, after he became the president, he didn't put Israel first. He didn't even put the chosen people first, which was opposite to what Trump did. For Putin, it was all about Russia first. And he did dare to disappoint the chosen people by ruining their plans in Ukraine and in the Middle East. Today, Russia is serving as a peacekeeper in the Middle East. Probably if not Russian intervention in the Middle East and protection of Syrian government, the Syrian regime would be overthrown today, and the US with Israel would be preparing to strike at Iran. But Putin messed up those plans, and the globalists won't risk starting a world war while Iran remains a strong independent player in the Middle East, which is capable of destroying Israel. If they have any world conflict in plans, before this world war starts, the Iran must be eliminated, because it's the last remaining threat to Israel in the Middle East. If you still don't understand the logic behind this, I explained all of this in details in my video called Trump's US Self-Destructive Policy, which is linked in the comment section below. So Putin gained power thanks to the chosen people in Russia, but he turned his back on them by offering them not friendship, but only tolerance and symbolic meaningful gifts in return to show his gratitude for what they did for him. But he still ruined their main plans because Russia was to remain a neutral player, allowing US to roam around in Middle East freely. And Trump could do exactly the same thing. If he would be our guy, he could do what Putin did, or what Orban did. If he was truly independent president, that is. Trump could simply do what he claimed he wanted to do before he was the president, which was to not involve America in meaningless wars in the Middle East, for no logical reason at all. But as we all see, Trump decided to continue the destabilizing policy for the Middle East, which means the US continues to supply rebels with weapons against the Syrian government. The US also continues to bomb Syrian forces and does not pull out American forces from the Middle East. Wasn't that what Trump was complaining about before he became the president? He didn't want American involvement in the Middle East. He seen it as stupid. But after he became the president, he suddenly changed his mind. All of this is obviously bad for America, which means Trump was not only lying about what he was claiming he will do, but what he is actually doing, he actively continues the US foreign policy, which is bad for American interests. So where is the America first, I ask? Some may say it's because he decided to send American army on the border, southern border of America, of the United States, to stop the illegal migrants from getting on the US soil. Well, probably every other government will do the same thing, but it won't change much. First, because US is a country of migrants, where the white population will become a minority in the next 50 years anyway, and some may say it's because he decided to oppose the unfair trade deals with the rest of the world, which will also backfire on America in the long run. And you know how. We spoke about it. And I also explained all of this in that video linked in the comment section below this video. But let's leave Trump aside. He's not a savior, he's just another servant. Pigeon, another thing. You must stop pointing out to people the violent revolution as a possible solution. Maybe you're doing this intentionally, maybe not. But your audience is concluding the violent revolution as a necessary solution to oppose the destruction of their own countries. And it's visible in the comment section below your videos. You're even possibly pointing people into this direction in your videos, in what you're saying. That there is no other way out than the revolution. It's a bad idea. I will explain this to you by telling you what I told to another YouTube celebrity from your league. All the time we hear how bad things are and how they are getting worse. We learn that migrants with alien cultures are bad, they rape, kill, they don't integrate. We learn that our women with feminism and craziness participate in this process which destroys our civilization from inside. And obviously, ultimate evil are the incompetent politicians who are being elected all the time by overwhelming unaware masses. And the situation repeats itself with every new elections. And the process is a never-ending cycle for at least 20 years now. And when the aware people becoming too annoyed, being constantly disappointed with every new alternative politician who they elect, a new magic life-saving alternative appears. Some new hero politician who is on our side. I mean, look at Trump. Did he make America great again? I remember this talk with you, Pigeon, before the elections. How you told me that you will completely give up if Trump won't win the elections. I told you to be careful and we should judge Trump based on his actions, not declarations and empty promises from before the elections. Didn't even take few months before Trump started showing his true face. Bombing Syria because of pseudo-chemical weapon attack organized by Syrian government. And the rest of this nonsense. The point is, it was always the continuation of the same repetitive agenda, just in a bit different form. Never-ending story. I mean, you are a well-informed person. You must see the pattern here. What are the effects of videos like yours on the aware people? You make them angry. You're giving them hope, which is being constantly... Well, you're not giving them hope, but... Well, you're telling them how everything sucks. And you redirect their anger on the migrant invaders and the puppet politicians, and all of this is pushing these aware people to the edge, to a point where the only solution which will be visible for them is a civil war. If I wouldn't know, I would say it's a continuation of the agenda of the international masters. I mean, they push our nations into a civil war. They're not stupid, they want it. It's in their best interest. And I explained it in my videos why, but I will repeat again. If the civil war will start, the aware people, who are already a minority in our countries, are going to lose it. We stand no chance to win. They want to provoke us for an armed rise-up so they can eliminate the best, most devoted, courageous, brave of us at a one swing. Not to mention how demonized we are going to be as aggressors, Nazis, the worst haters in this planet, who provoked a civil war in our pseudo-peaceful Western world. And you may ask, why am I sure we are going to lose it? Well, ignoring the fact that majority of us is completely disarmed without any training or a combat experience in Europe, and already marketed by a media, as a bad guys, radicals, or even, for example, by Macron, as if you are nationalistic, you are not a true patriot. Holy crap, this is crazy. Our governments have support of majority of population in our countries who just want a peaceful, calm life, which means they will be portrayed as a victims and will stand with the side of the official government. Now add to this that the government has an army, at least majority of the armed forces, which are also brainwashed to follow orders and to protect the rightfully elected government. And now add to this the fact that those governments officially stand on the ground, on guard, and mutual protection of our pseudo-democracy, especially by United States. So even if by some magic the side of the reason will start winning the civil war in our countries, there will be an army sent from abroad to support our pseudo-democratically elected government. If it will come one day to a civil war or a race war or however you call it in Europe or in the United States, our best people will die. Survivals will end up completely enslaved. We will lose even more of our rights and freedom because our countries will turn into a pure police states to prevent any future nationalistic acts of terrorism. The censorship will skyrocket to a completely new dimension. Next of the international ruling elite ultimate objective will be completed, because we will end up completely enslaved. Of course, the longer we wait, doing what we do to oppose the Western madness, the weaker we become, because more and more migrants with alien cultures floods our lands and weaken our national unity, mixing all the cultures, creating the multicultural degenerate corrupted wholes, dividing our nations. So in civil war scenario, for example, aware rebellious people of every Western country will have to fight migrants, corrupted government, supported by majority of country citizens, and supported by at least half of national army, and also supported by armies which will come to help to restore order in those countries from abroad. What chance do we stand in a civil war? I know things about military, and I'm telling you, 21st century is not a time for violent revolutions. In early 20th century, maybe there was a chance still, but not anymore. I can't believe some people were actually taking an armed revolution as a possible solution, where we might have a chance of winning. Oh, and a civil war will come sooner or later, but hopefully much later. Will be started either by some people from our side who will explode in rage on our streets of our countries, and the rest of like-minded people will follow. Scenario similar to William Wallace call in movie Braveheart, if you know it. Maybe migrants will commit some unbearable crime, and our response will escalate into a civil war, or maybe false flag provocation and a call for action. They did that already before, for example in Syria. They. Or if none of those, they will just have to wait for economic collapse, where there won't be enough money to pay a proper social support for our guests from the Middle East, and their protest for human rights in Europe will turn into violence on our streets, where our people will respond with mutual violence. I hope I made myself clear on this subject. We, the aware people, do not stand a chance in a civil war, and even if the war won't be started by us, we are going to be blamed for it. I'm sure of that. Media are going to destroy us for it, even if it won't be our fault. Our politicians are also not all incompetent. They're not stupid. Many of them, if not most, must understand what they do to us, and what will be the consequences. So why they do that? Because they pushing this agenda of the international masters. Everything fits those stories from the conspiracy theories. I mean, so-called conspiracy theories. International masters, the people above our governance. And what makes me believe that? Because politicians from most of our Western countries doing the same crazy suicidal decisions for their own countries, like they almost internationally collaborate with each other, providing all necessary support on the international level. And now situation in Eastern European countries is a bit different. So our international masters must use a different strategy to manipulate our people. People in Eastern European countries, we're having this experience after the collapse of the Soviet Union and all of this. So we're having much better national unity. We were not, our older generations, the boomers or however you call it, they were not indoctrinated in the same way how the boomers in the West were. So they raised their children in a different way, and that's why our national unity is still strong. So it requires a different tactic, different strategy, different type of manipulation to achieve your goals from perspective of our international masters. I explained this in details why in my video, which I will link in the description below this video, if you're interested to understand more about true situation in Poland, for example. So when people like you promoting ideas which push our people into desperate attempt of retaking control over our countries by force, not directly but passively, because you don't call for arms, you just keep pissing people off about the situation and mentioning a violent revolution as a possible solution, then you guide people directly into a trap of the agenda of those which we call international ruling elite. Pigeon, my plan offers a peaceful solution. We must use this plan in first place, and you will help me in this. Otherwise, you act as one of them. You would misguide people, leading us straight into the trap of the international banksters, ruling elite, globalists, or however you call them. As I said, they want us to rise. They want civil war. Let's focus on a deep state, the globalists, or whatever the name, however you name them, however you call the people who are lobbying in our Western governance and promote this self-destructive policy for the Western civilization. Let's try to find out who they might be. We both disagree on this matter, well, only in some points, not completely. You claim that only some chosen people are lobbying and trying to interfere in national politics of our Western countries. But it's nothing big, nothing worthy of attention. And by chosen people, I mean them. I cannot name them, because if I do, the algorithm censorship stuff on YouTube will put their mechanics into motion, and this will badly affect this video. So I say the chosen people are behind the control of the deep state, Federal Reserve, international banking system, media, and at the end of the chain, in control of our major Western countries, majority of our governance, politicians. They control the political arena in our countries in many different ways. And they also decide who is allowed to win our national elections, mostly thanks to the power of money and the media which they also control. Look, Pigeon, I could make a 2 hours long video talking about what I learned about those people, their power, showing you all the proofs, evidences, and other materials to consider. But I know you are too lazy, too busy to listen to all of that. And you assume you know better, while I'm ready and willing to prove you wrong. So I will quickly guide you on the right track, so you can understand for yourself who is behind the destruction of the Western civilization. First of all, you need to know there are two major divisions among chosen people. One is a very commie type of division, the Eastern chosen people. Some call them Polish, but they don't really want to support the existence of Israel. They believe that promised lands for the chosen people are in the East Europe, in territories of Poland and Ukraine, so-called Polin. Soros, for example, is one of those type of people. And no, Soros is not the source here. He is just doing all the funding and taking all the blame. He is old, he will die soon anyway, it doesn't matter. He is one of them, but he is not at the top, he's not the top figure. And the second, the strongest and the most influential group are the Zionists. And one of the famous public faces of those people are, for example, the Rothschilds family, if I'm not wrong. So in theory, both of those groups have a mutual goal, which is to control the world more or less and enslave all the non-goys. But they approach it in different ways. The Zionists are a bit more dangerous because I consider them a type of religious fanatics who believe in a prophecy which states that the greater state of Israel will be created after the so-called Great War. And they also believe that they will rebuild the third temple after this Great War. It's official information. You can learn it from anywhere. Which is probably a reference to a world war. But those are only additional informations, which is an addition for the big picture. So let's try to find out who those globalists, international banksters, and the international ruling elite really are, without instantly pointing fingers at the chosen people. Even if I already did that, but whatever. So the globalist wants to create this new world order, destroy the national identity, mix people in Europe, North America in order to easily control them by dividing them, to depress our rights and freedom of speech, to pretty much enslave us. So we can work for them as a good, obedient slaves without possibility to even criticize them. Am I getting this right? They want to mix people, to organize us better and manage us as a cattle, who are trained and exist to serve them. I mean, they openly speak about it. It's not even up for discussion. So let's assume the globalists, the deep state in US are a fellow Europeans, white people of whatever religion you choose. Not the chosen people, just regular white people. Why would they want to do this? Why would they want to destroy their own ethnic group? I mean, they are one of us, so won't that be self-destructive for their future generations? Why would you want to ethnically destroy or replace your own people on the lands of your ancestors? Why would they destroy the civilization which they profit from and which serves them so well? I mean, they will be one of us. Or maybe globalists are some people from the Middle East who, with the Islamic background and not really ethnically Europeans. I mean, it would make more sense because they actually have a reason to weaken our people, to destroy our monolithic ethnic groups, societies, and to replace us in Europe with other fellow Middle Eastern Islamic people or Africans, right? It makes sense. That would be in their interest. Well, I don't know any other Middle Eastern people except chosen people who hold such enormous power and influence through the media, banking system, and you can immediately recognize if a Middle Eastern Arabic person is messing up with our politics, because they're very clumsy with doing that. They're incompetent they don't understand the politics, diplomacy, and things like that. So no, they don't hold enough influence power in Europe and North America to implement such politics. They are totally different people and not suitable for the job. But what kind of people are in positions of power, control of the media, lobbying politicians on a mass scale in the West, and what type of people hold interest into weakening our Western countries without even hiding that, and destroying our monolithic societies. They have specific name for us, and some of them, of their spiritual leaders, call us a cattle. There are those protocols of Elders of Zion, and they have those people who openly been stating their intentions to us white Europeans. Pigeon, do you already see what type of people I'm talking about all the time? Those special chosen people? Pigeon, if it's not them, and it's really a conspiracy theory, please answer to me in front of the public why Israel is so important to our European countries and into the United States. Why the hell is it all about the future and existence of Israel? Why do major corporations move their centers and technology into Israel? Why our politicians care more about the chosen people and their privileged positions than about our people? You don't believe me? Check the other video which I made about the official facts from my country, Poland. You can make the connections when you consider what they are doing and how much power and influence they have over the West. If they hold so much power and influence, why they don't put it into a good use, into something productive, something good for Europe? Instead, they decided to destroy it by their politics. Whenever you do some deep research on the subjects about what causing harm to us, or about terrible occurrences in the Western civilization, like the creation of Bolshevism or the spreading of communism around Europe, whenever you follow the money, at some point after digging deep, you will always be led to the chosen people, to some chosen people. They organize and lead this. They finance this. They're trying to finance both sides of the conflicts, and they taking control over the winning side. Like they own them something because they provided them resources and money for it. Well, the money only. And by manipulation, they profit from it and continue to push their own agenda. What do you think, Pigeon? Who really are those globalists? Or who is behind the deep state? If they're sharing the agenda of the chosen people, who are the deep state people in the deeper state in the US? And we know that the deep state, what the deep state is standing for. So-called deep state. This quote from President Orban. Look what type of people immediately criticize his statement in the news, calling his statement anti-Semitic. On their news platforms, even if Orban didn't name them, he just described the people who are enemies of the West and who speculate with money. It's the chosen people who name it themselves as victims of it. Even if he didn't, they just admitted that it's them. What more proofs and evidences you might possibly need, Pigeon? If you really want to know who is behind what is happening in the West, you need to search for it in the sources of the chosen people. Even my country, Poland, is under their control. It's visible everywhere. And they are constantly trying to push their agenda in Poland. I'm sure you heard how they attempted to ban our early Polish independence march, just because it's too nationalistic, because it unites our people together over the idea of our independent country. Do you know what blood the president of Warsaw is, this woman? Do you know our prime minister who sends his children to a Jewish school? Check also the politicians in Ukraine, the new politicians, those set by the West after the revolution. Too many coincidences. This is not random. This is just too much magical to be a random coincidence. You want? I will mention something funny for you, what you can check by yourself. Trump, Macron, and even Polish Prime Minister. I didn't check others, but I did research on those three. Three of them, Trump, Macron, and Polish Prime Minister, all of them at some point either were working or were taking money directly from the Rockefellers. I'm not even kidding. Another coincidence? Macron, the guy who said that a real patriot, true patriot, is not nationalistic. A little correction. The true patriot is not nationalist. That's what he said. It's like saying that someone who is loving his wife, respecting his wife and taking care of his wife, and is willing to give a life for his wife, is not a good husband. It's not a true husband. This is pretty much the same meaning. I concluded all of this, made all the links, connections, and made my claims based on confirmed facts, official informations. When you put all the puzzles together, everything makes sense. Every reasonable and objective person who will make a similar investigation into those subjects will also conclude the same ideas. I don't see any alternative logic explanation. Until you will apply some theory that there is some mass madness in the West, that all the politicians, majority of the politicians are suddenly somehow crazy from one generation of politicians to another. Maybe this will be an alternative theory. But at the end of the day, it does not matter who is truly behind this destruction of the Western civilization, because my plan does not aim to attack anybody, but it aims to secure the future of our civilization and our people in this world. So I am trying to unite everybody who has similar values and concerns about our future of Europe and North America. Those who are behind this madness in the West are definitely not included. And I want to clarify one thing here. I do not blame all the chosen people. Many of them is probably not even aware of what they're doing to us. They're not probably even participating. Many of them completely assimilated, and they became harmless, abandoning their historical culture and teachings. But I do definitely blame the Zionists and all those who serve them. I believe our people deserve to live in peace in our historically monolithic European societies, in our nations, in our countries, on our lands, same as the chosen people should live in peace and happiness in their own lands. But they do not belong to Europe. They belong to the Middle East. Live where you came from and live as in peace in Europe, which was shaped by our ancestors for thousands of years. Also, quick explanation of our last dispute The 2017 Shayad missile strike. Shayad, I think that's the spell, if I spell it right. You claim it Americans decided to test how effective Russian defensive systems really are. It's completely not true, and this is why. Missiles came from the southwest, flying over territory of Lebanon, and trajectory was designed to avoid the airspace protected by the Russian missile systems, as it is visible on this map. It's not what do you want to do when you test how effective Russian weapon systems are. You do not avoid them, you just fly through them. The weapon systems deployed at this time were S-300, even if Russians already had the newest S-400, and the S-500 already known being under development, which means Americans would be testing outdated weapon system. There is no logic in this. Another point, Americans had full intel about the true efficiency of S-300 systems, at least from the 90s of the recent century. Because there were hundreds of tests done on those anti-air systems, which were monitored by the US intelligence. And also Russia doesn't care much about keeping the true efficiency of an S-300 system as a secret for over 10 years now. And by the way, it's a system developed in the 70s in the last century. So your theory about the US testing this, how truly efficient Russian anti-missile systems are, is completely illogical. This missile attack was an irresponsible decision because even if Syrian side was warned in advance, the Russians still were present at the air base at the time of attack. The attack worsened relations between Russia and the United States, and around $170 million was burned in fire without achieving any strategic objective because air base was operational few hours after, bombing rebels' positions to the north. But I guess I explained it to you everything that I should. I'm counting on you, Pigeon. So now please acknowledge that you have watched this video by responding to my comment below, which is dedicated for you. Also, if you feel like making video response, post a link to your response by replying to my comment below, in your reply to my comment below. Videos about the objectives and the plan are available in the description below this video. If you have any questions, ask them in the video or call me on Skype, and wait for further instructions which will be given to all the red-pilling celebrities who will declare their support and will cooperate with us. It should take me a month, maybe even longer, before I will corner the rest of our red-pilling celebrities and make my video with appeal to a reason for the public. And poor will be those who will dare to ignore us. Remember, Pigeon, we are trying to save the future of our Western civilization, and you will become part of this plan. You will participate in this process. You must do it, like all of us. Or if we will fail, we just can raise the white flag, do nothing, and enjoy the show, before we all will end up at the bottom, including Japan. It's our duty to fight and never give up. We simply cannot just back off from this fight. It's about our values, people, entire future, and our bloodlines. Don't you dare give up on all of this. This plan is the only way, Pigeon, to fight for our future in this world. If we don't unite our people for this plan, we will all end up at the bottom. You, me, all the people in Europe, in North America. Please do your part and hold my back in this, as you said you would 3 months ago. Well, think about all of this, Pigeon, and let me know what you think. In the meantime, I will continue addressing the rest of our red-pilling celebrities. Stay safe out there. Oro, reporting out. Oh, and Pigeon, yeah, I found this picture. I thought you might like it. I'm just saying. Never mind. I'm just gonna hold it for you and send it to you later. Okay, reporting out.
People say, quit covering up for Israel just because I cover all the big corrupt forces that are out there. I mean, are you saying, sir, that every evil in the New World Order is flowing out of Jews?
Mr. Jones, and to prove it, if you don't believe me, have all your listeners pick up a book and read called The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. It is not a hoaxer. It is not a forgery that the Jews maintain. The gist of it is that the Jews are out for world domination, and they have it now in the United States.
You know, I never get what forgery means. Well, I mean, it's written like a comic book. I mean, why would anybody write something down like that?
But it's real. And Henry Ford, who's my hero, in the International Jew during the 1920s, I'm sure you're familiar with Mr. Ford, he made the protocols famous, and in the International Jew, he pretty much rehashes what the protocols said, that the Jews control world finance, the media. Now they control the U.S. foreign policy. The Jews, Mr. Jones, have inflicted tremendous harm upon the United States.
Well, let me ask you a question. From your perspective, should the Jews be gotten rid of?
Yes, they should. In every country.
All right, I'm going to stop you right there. I am Jewish.